I'm Sherry Kendall, and welcome to Hometown Salutes. I want to introduce my guest today. It's Fayette County veteran David Meyer. Welcome, David, to the show.
Thank you.
Well, let's get started. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Connersville. I was born and raised in Connersville.
Okay, and you graduated from Connersville High School?
Yes, 1987.
1987. Okay, at what point did you know that you wanted to join the Army?
Oh, as a kid, I always felt like I always wanted to join.
Did you come from a military family?
Both grandparents, both of grandpas were in the Army. Dad didn't join, but he always felt bad that he didn't. You know, he always regretted that he didn't, but we always admired both grandparents.
Okay, so you ended up not joining the Army, and then you went into the Army Reserve.
Yes.
Okay, so is the Army Reserve, is that program pretty much the same as being in the Army? I mean, you do everything the same, is that right?
Army Reserve, National Guard, and active duty all train together.
Okay.
My basic training and AIT, we were shoulder to shoulder right with. There was no separation in training.
Okay.
Until you go home, we trained right next to, they knew who was who, where they were going after, but there was no difference in the training.
Okay, so where did you do basic training at?
Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
So you just went one day, and when you joined the reserve, you were just told what time to show up, or did you guys did you meet somewhere and then all get bused there?
Oh, you show up at MEPS in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And because it was because it was the big deal with Saddam in Kuwait, and they were really building up to it. They actually transported us from MEPS to the airport in limousines. They put 5 or 6 of us in a limo and gave us our orders and our tickets and everything, and took us to the airport in limousines. We thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, wow. Were your parents supportive that you joined?
Well, they were supportive, but I mean, when I brought it up it was a Thanksgiving dinner, and I said, I'm thinking about joining the reserves. I was married, and my son was a year and a half and old, and I brought it up that I was thinking about joining, and they all said, oh, you can't do that. I was 23, so I wasn't, as young as usual, most people. You can't do that, and so it just kind of spurred me on.
Since they said no, you were going.
Give me that extra kick to actually do it.
Yeah.
So I actually went and joined. And
was your wife supportive?
No, she wasn't appreciative of the Army because it took me away too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had a young one with you, you said, right?
I got back just in time, just days before his second birthday.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you went through basic training. Then where did you do your specialized training at?
Well, I didn't move. We went to bed, and we did our basic training, went to bed, and woke up next morning. Same drill sergeants, same. The only thing different was we started doing specialized training in field artillery.
Okay. And what did, so is there anything memorable in basic training? Any funny things that happened that you'd want to share, or?
I did have the 50 caliber machine gun. I kind of took to it, I guess. When you take to something on Sundays, that you train others, and I had a drill sergeant come up to me and say, "Meyer, you're a fast tracker." Well, I didn't really understand what he was saying to me because some guys were towed artillery. I was towed artillery. You towed with a truck.
Okay.
Some had tracked vehicles, and I thought he meant track vehicle. And I said, "No, drill sergeant, I'm towed." And he got angry with me and said, "But if you don't understand what I'm saying, you're too stupid to..."
Oh, no.
So he walks away and he comes back. He asks somebody, he comes back and goes, "No, you're a fast tracker." "Yes, drill sergeant." He goes, you don't understand. He goes, you're going to be training the other soldiers on the 50 caliber every Sunday. I was, okay. And so every Sunday I gave a class on the 50 caliber machine gun. You know.
Oh, wow.
So
had you traveled much before you joined?
No, I wasn't much of a traveler. As a kid, we went on a few vacations, but personally, no, I wasn't much of a traveler.
Okay. When they told you that you were going to go on a tour, did you think that would happen being in the Army Reserve? Did you think you'd get called up?
Well, I mean, I joined, in '91, thinking I was going to go. Of course, it was over before I even got out of basic. It was already over, and I come back. But I stuck with the Army Reserve, and then I thought I was just going to do my 20 and then get out because it didn't seem like anything was happening.
Yeah.
And then things really started heating up, and I got the phone call. My company didn't get deployed, but I got a call that I was transferred to another company in Lafayette.
Oh, no.
To fill in. They had a vacancy. They needed somebody. I got transferred up to Lafayette.
So
my question was, who all's going with me? And they're like, no, just you. So I'm like,
oh, my goodness. So why were you picked? Why do you think you were picked out of everybody?
I don't know.
Yeah. You were just the lucky one, huh?
I'm just.
So the first tour that you did, where did you go?
I went to Iraq.
Okay.
Everybody goes to Kuwait, but I think even if Afghanistan, Kuwait's the drop off. In the beginning, you took your vehicles with you, so you have to unload them off the boat. Ours arrived on the USS Bob Hope.
Oh, really?
So we actually went there and drove our own vehicles off the boat.
Wow.
And then you collect your gear, and then you stack your gear on your vehicle and organize your convoy, and and then.
So is this your group here?
It's a large number of it. Yeah, okay. It's not the whole company, but.
Okay. And so this is on the state side.
Yeah.
You haven't left yet. So when you get there, this is what you slept in?
There would be rows and rows of those. Yes.
Rows?
In Kuwait.
Wow. And so this is the actual inside?
Yes. No, we weren't very good housekeepers, you can tell. But,
I can tell that. So we're in year 2003?
2003, yes.
Okay. All right, why don't you tell us a little bit about this picture? What is this?
That is, in the aluminum version, we call them a coffin. I always saw them in the aluminum version. It holds a 10,000 gallon bag and hoses and valves for holding fuel. You usually have multiple of those, and you can be dropped off, build a site where you can receive, store, and issue bulk fuel.
Okay. So it looks like it's falling apart. Is that?
Yeah, it was way out of date.
But that actually went over like that?
Yes, and it held up. These were out of date, and we still used them. The more modern ones over there, we weren't filling them to capacity. I talked to other fuel site managers, and they were like, "Don't go above 80% because they're bursting. They're sweating."
Oh, wow.
These were older, and I never had one burst. So I had 4 out in Aramati. So and they were at times 90% full.
Oh gosh. And so who is this?
His name was Specialist Tito Colon.
And what's he doing here?
We're going through radio class, mainly learning to do a 9-line medevac call in case of an injury.
Okay. Is this you here?
That's me.
Is this
putting up my flag on my 5-ton TPU, getting ready to go up and drive to Iraq against? Not supposed to be flying a flag, but
Oh, you're not?
No, no.
So this is Camp Victory in Kuwait?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about these little stations.
Oh, that little, the Iraqis would put out these little reed huts, and they would have stacks of pop, blocks of ice, and even sell brand new coolers and knickknacks. You know, they had about everything you could imagine. And in the early days, as time went on, the practice stopped. But early days, the entire convoy would just stop along one of these things. People would get out and shop at a little reed hut like this and buy pop and buy ice.
And so they were stationed all throughout on your way?
Yeah, even in the convoy briefings.
Really?
The lieutenant would say, and we're going to stop at at the Haji station, and we're going to buy our ice real quick, and you know.
That is funny.
It got a little bit more dangerous, and then the practice quit. But,
yeah. So what is this?
This is driving into Iraq. It's more south of Baghdad, but it's where in the first war, when they shot up all the vehicles, and they just kind of shoved them out into the desert, and
they were just
a bunch
left
of
there?
rusty old hulks.
Huh?
The majority of them are gone, but there's still a lot of them out there.
So tell us a little bit.
That's a rope unit pulled by a semi. It's a water purification station, and they can drop a line into a body of water, contaminated water even, and purify it into drinking water.
Wow. What is this?
That's its 5-ton truck. We're pulling it. The reason we're using a track hoe for that is
that's what pulled that.
It got into the rainy season, and that the lake came up abruptly, and the trailer was in the water, and they had to go rescue it.
Oh, wow. And then is this a group that you...
Yeah, they wanted concertina wire out around the buoy for that trailer.
Yeah.
So they wanted poles driven in the bottom of the lake and concertina wire out there. And my group got the task, so we built a pontoon boat out of a MiG drop tanks. And since I had the pirate flag, we felt we were pirates on the water, and we went out there and drove posts in the bottom of the lake and then strung concertina wire.
That's funny.
And of course, we had a fun day of it. We made it fun.
So share, during your first tour, you went 2 tours to Kuwait, to Iraq.
Yes.
Okay. So on each tour, did you get accomplished what you went over there to accomplish?
The second tour was, the first tour, we built fuel stations and hauled fuel with tanker trucks. The second time, I just stood guard in a guard tower. I didn't really accomplish a lot other than standing in a guard tower.
So how long was each tour?
A full year there.
So you'd say a whole year?
And first year with train up was 15 months, and then second was 14 months.
Wow.
Away from home.
Wow. So can you share a story or something, some kind of an experience, kind of something funny that happened while you were over there? Did you get along with the people okay? And was there ever any with different people?
Well, we in our Ramadi, they sent me and 7 other guys to build a 40,000 gallon station, fuel site, in Champion West. It's right where the Euphrates forks. Champion West, and then there was Hurricane in between the fork, and then Champion, Maine. And So they were divided by the river, and you had to go out on the highway and cross the dam to get to each one. Mm-hmm. And that was our purpose there. They had sent an officer with us, so there was an officer. But he was a supply guy. He didn't know our job. So he spent his day looking for other things for us to do.
Yeah.
And he'd come up with this, we would become transporters. So like when a sergeant major or an officer would need transported from one base to another, that we did it. We don't know how we. So we developed this thing of we get out on the road and jump out, and we'd bang on windows and make the Iraqis pull to the side so we could keep moving.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to sit still in Aramati. You wanted to keep moving.
Right.
Because there was always traffic jams. And then one day there was this command sergeant major just landed with a helicopter, and we were going to move him from Champion, Maine to Champion West. And he gets in the back of the Humvee. It's a pickup style.
Yeah.
Open. And we had the tailgate down where it was straight so we could sit on the back. And the command sergeant major goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're not driving around Iraq like a bunch of hippies."
Oh.
And I'm like, hippies? And a lieutenant elbows him and says, "This is how they make sure we get to and from." Yeah.
Oh, that is funny.
He goes, "Well, I still don't like it." Yeah. He called us hippies.
Oh, that is funny. So was there ever a frightening time? Anything intense or frightening that had happened?
We got shot at a few times. We lost a tire once, a front tire, and we were the very back of the convoy there in Aramati. And we didn't have radios. We were supposed to flash lights, headlights.
Oh, you didn't have radios?
No, they had a way of jamming. They would just get on our frequency and start talking.
Oh.
So they ended up just not even using them.
Okay.
And everybody's supposed to flash lights, and then everybody pull over, stay together. Well, it didn't go through, and the back of the truck is just jumping up and down. So we ended up stopping. And the sun's going down. So it was just the two of us. We got out and hidden next to Euphrates in the tall grass and in the trees, and waited for them to figure out that we're not with them.
Did they?
They eventually came back, and then they didn't bring a wrecker, so they just left us there, and then they went back to get the wrecker, and then they come back. That was a long wait.
That's crazy.
And then one day in Aramati, they decided not to sweep the roads for us. We were bringing tankers in, and they detonated two howitzer rounds wired together, and blew up the truck right behind me. And
blew up the truck?
Yeah, it set it ablaze, and then peppered the truck behind it with holes. So.
Did they survive?
The two in the truck that got hit, they both lived that day. The passenger, he eventually 3 days later died of his wounds. Leverkusen, he died of, his right leg was so much damage that he gave him an option, but he chose to have it amputated, and then they rebuilt the left. He's a young man.
Goodness
I don't know if he made it to his
gracious.
20th birthday or not, if he was still 19. Young man. It happened in January, and we got home in April, and he stood up out of his chair, out of his wheelchair.
Oh, wow.
When we came home. He was that determined to stand up. Frist, Specialist Frist has a building named after him at Fort Harrison.
Oh, really?
A Army Reserve
Oh, wow.
building named after him.
So what year were you over there? This is
2003 to 2004, and then 2006 to 2007.
Okay. So what was going on in the country during that time? Because that's right before 911.
No,
I mean,
that was 2000, or you mean 9/11?
yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. So that was right after.
Yeah, it was right after.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were things intense with you guys after what happened here?
It was. We kind of had an idea that something we might actually do something this time.
Yeah.
So many times, like Kosovo, we thought we were going to do something.
Right.
And then the balloon never went up for us.
Right.
So we thought this time we might do something. We flew out to went out to California that summer. Did training in California, and we thought this is different, so we might be doing something. And then the next year, got the call, I got the call and joined up with the Lafayette group.
And you went, yeah. So did you ever go back to your group, or you just always stayed with the Lafayette group then at that point?
Oh, when I rotated back home, I went back.
You went back to your group?
To 417th.
Okay. So did you communicate with your family back home during that time?
Oh, yeah. It got better as it went. At first, there was no communication.
Yeah.
Everything was just so jumbled.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to use the train that went through Fallujah. They wanted to put mail on the train and supplies on the train and have the train come in. And then we take the shipping container off the train and then put it on a truck and drive it into the base. The bad thing about a train is the Iraqis can see the train go by and pump an RPG into it. So often the train would pull up and it would have a large hole in it and it would be burning. They just pick it up and they'd set it over into the desert and let it continue burning. So.
Oh my gosh.
It took a while before they said, that's a bad idea.
That's not a good idea. Yeah, I was going to say, that's not a good idea.
So mail eventually started, and then I got to do the mail runs with a 50 caliber machine gun. I got to be the gunner and
oh, wow.
would drive back and forth to pick up the mail.
Yeah.
And that was in a Anaconda. They had a theater. They had no seats in the theater. And they just spray painted on the walls all the different companies.
Yeah.
And they just stack your mail.
And just sort it
against the
that way.
wall.
Yeah.
And you just go there and you pick up your mail and drive back.
Yeah, so that's the old days when you're getting mail and writing it.
Oh, well, I prefer that because
Yeah.
with email, it's gone.
Right.
I still have boxes
Did you save 'em?
of
Yeah.
letters. If you wrote me a letter, I still have it.
Aw.
I didn't throw away a single letter.
Yeah, I think that's neat. So have you been able to keep in touch with your military friends?
Pretty much.
Because now with the computer.
Facebook, often they say something, or a lot of them, they were young, have gotten married and had kids, and they do a lot of Facebooking, and I'll hit like. I'm not much of a say anything,
Yeah.
but I'll hit like. It's been nice watching them, raising families and
Right.
and prospering and.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about Facebook is just to kind of keep in touch with people and you can just see what happens. So when you got out, and how many years did you do in the Army Reserve?
I did 20.
20, wow. So when you got out of the service, did you use what you're trained for on the civilian side?
No, I right out of high school, I went to work just across the street here in McCombs and Son.
Oh, you did?
And then I joined the reserves but stayed there, and so.
So you've been at McCombs for many years then?
Oh yeah.
So what do you do there for them?
Just about everything. Manufacturing, sheet metal manufacturing, to structural.
Yeah.
My old boss, he worked on ships for World War II.
Oh, he did?
He worked on 3 of the 4 Iowa-class battleships.
Wow.
And then he went over to Australia,
Yeah.
and then from there to New Guinea. He was on a floating dry dock.
Oh, wow.
They could lower the ship,
Yeah.
put down a tailgate, pull in like a destroyer, put the tailgate up, pump the water out, and it would rise, and the ship would be in a dry dock.
Wow.
So he taught me a lot.
Yeah, that's neat. So are you glad you joined the Army Reserve?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the most of it.
Yeah.
There was always the
Bad part that we don't want to talk about.
the mind gleans through the bad and
Right.
remembers the good.
Right. So what are some life lessons that you learned from your time in the military?
Well, let's see. A big one is, I spent a lot of time admiring the poster boy soldier.
Yeah.
The guy that looks the part, but it's the mutt that is usually the best soldier. It's the mutt guy that pulls through for you.
Yep.
I had a lot of good soldiers, in my squads, and it seemed like the mutt that you have to, you always got to kind of watch him and doggone it.
Yeah.
But when the chips are down, it's the mutt that.
Yep. Get him through.
You're like, well, heck, he did all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, David, I want to thank you for sharing with us your experience for your time in the service. I want to thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Well, I appreciate.
Yeah, and thank you for taking time to come in to do the show.
Well, thank you.
So be sure to tune in next month for another edition of Hometown Salutes.